Okay, for Geometry 3.7, we are kind of doing a review of algebra actually. So this is equations of lines in the coordinate plane. This is your notes. So quick review, what is the slope of this line? Slope is just rise over run, and I hope the first thing you remember noticing is that this is going downhill. Remember, you read a graph from left to right, just like you would read a book. So from left to right, this line starts at the top and goes downhill. So it is going to be a negative slope. So the first thing I would write is negative. Rise over run, when it's negative, it's actually falling. So you could say fall over run. So it would be down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're going down 6 per over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 over 6. So negative 6 over 6, and because it's a fraction, it's math, we always simplify. That would simplify to negative 1. I just now noticed that it actually tells you what the equation of this line is, and that is the slope. That's okay. We just counted down 1 over 1, which is simplified. Okay, so the slope is negative 1. And don't forget that the slope represented is m. We use the letter m. So the slope is negative 1, and we write it as m. All right, what happens if we're finding the slopes of lines when all we have are 2 points? We already talked about rise over run. It's the change in y over the change in x. That's how many we're going down or up versus how many we're going over. But what happens if all you have is negative 2, 1, and 4, negative 5? So here's a quick thing reminding you that the formula is actually y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that will get you the slope. So what they have done is, you remember this is your first coordinate, so that's my first x and my first y. This is my second coordinate, so that's my second x and my second y. And then you'll just plug in each of these numbers for our formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So they've done that for you. They took negative 5 and subtracted negative 1 up top, because that's our rise. And then they did 4 minus negative 2 on the bottom, because that's our run or our change in x. So then they simplified it all out, and they got that the slope was negative 3. So let's practice that a few times. Number 1, y2 minus y1. If it helps you to write them, I'll do this for the first one. This is my x1, y1. This is my x2, y2, in case you need a quick reminder. And we are using this slope formula, which I will also put on the board for a little while too. So 8 minus 2 over 1 minus negative 5. So y2 minus my y1 over x2 minus my x1. All right, and you just work it out. 8 minus 2 is 6. 1 minus negative 5, just put it exactly like that into your calculator, would be positive 6. And you always simplify. 6 over 6 is 1, so our slope is 1. All right, if you want to pause the video and try 2 and 3 on your own, go ahead and do that. And if you're not sure yet or can't remember from last year, go ahead and work it out with me. This would be 4 minus 8 over 2 minus 1, which would be negative 4 over 1, which is negative 4. Number 3 would be negative 4 minus negative 3 over 2 minus negative 2. Negative 4 minus negative 3 is negative 1. If you're not sure, check in your calculator. Please just type it in exactly how it looks. Negative, in fact, I'll do this one for you just to make sure I'm right. Negative 4 minus negative 3 is negative 1. 2 minus negative 2 is positive 4. So the slope is negative 1/4. All right, on the next section, it's a reminder of what is the line in slope-intercept form. So the entire equation is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. And if you forgot what that is the place where the line crosses the y-axis. So you're looking at your y-axis and you're seeing where your line touches. Okay, so what is the equation? I mean, they've already actually written it down here for us, but a real quick review. If I know my y-intercept is on the y-axis at -1, then that means my b is going to be -1. And the slope we did above, you're just counting rise over run, or in this case fall over run, which we got this earlier, simplified to -1/1. So the entire thing was y equals -1. I'm just going to simplify it to -x minus 1 because that was the y-intercept. All right. If I gave you the slope, which is the m, and I gave you the y-intercept, which is the b, because 0, 6 means, think about it, that would be on the y-axis up here. So that's my y-intercept. 0, 6 would be 0, 6. So that's my y-axis. So if the slope is -1 and the y-intercept is 6, 0, 6, which is 6, put it all together, y equals -1x, which I'm going to simplify to just -x, plus 6. All right. Try 5 on your own. It would be y equals 4/5 x minus 3 because it's a -3 y-intercept. All right, let's look at the next page. So on the next page, move this over a little bit, it says that, we're reviewing point slope form now. So real quick reminder from algebra of what point slope form is. It's y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. And remember, this one is going to be a number that is your coordinate. This one is going to be a number that's the other number in your coordinate. And then m is always going to just stay your slope. So let's look at what this one is. This is the same one we've been looking at, y equals -x minus 1. But we first want to look at what the slope was, and it was down 1/1, so that's our -1, so our slope is going to be -1. And then let's pick one of the coordinates. It doesn't matter if you pick k or if you pick j. So there are two different correct answers here, actually more than that, but two specific ones that they have put dots on that I would consider correct. So this coordinate is -2, 1. This coordinate is 4, -5. And again, it does not matter which one you want to pick. I'm going to pick, I'll just pick this first one. So -2, 1. So this would be my -2 because it's my x coordinate. And then this one would be my +1 because it's my y coordinate. So I hope I said that's my x coordinate and that's my y coordinate. All right, so if I'm writing this out using this particular point and our -1 slope, it would be y minus my y coordinate, which is 1, equals slope, which is -1, times the quantity x minus my x coordinate, which is -2. So if you have x minus negative, we're just going to change it to plus. Okay, so here's one possible answer. Or we would also take it if you chose to use this point down here, which would be y minus my y coordinate, which is -5. So we're going to make that +5 because minus and negative is the same thing as adding, equals my slope, which is -1, times the quantity x minus my x coordinate, which is 4. So that is the other possible solution when you're wanting to turn a line into point slope form. All right, so let's do this. It says write an equation, and I think they mean in point slope form because that's what we've been using for this section. So first we need to find the actual slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that would be 1 minus -5 over -2 minus 4, which would be 6 over -6, which is -1. Oh my gosh, I just noticed they did that for us. Awesome. Should have read down a little further. Okay, and then you can choose either point. So you can either choose the 4, -5 or the -2, 1 to substitute in. It looks like they chose the 4, -5. Actually, I prefer it to be minus negative, make it a positive. Oh, look, yep, they did that down here. And then it says you can actually change this into slope-intercept form by basically just, it looks like they distributed this, and then they moved the +5 by subtracting 5 over to here. So anytime you have point slope form, you can go back and forth between point slope form and, or sorry, you can convert it to slope intercept form. All right, quick review on the bottom of point slope form from graphs. The reason point slope form is important is because I can't even see where this crosses the y-axis. So I can't write it in slope intercept form because I don't even see where it crosses the y-axis. But I do know what the slope is, and I do know what at least one of my points is. So I'm going to choose this point, which is -3, 1. And my slope is down 1, 2, 3 over 1. So my slope is -3 over 1, which is -3. So here it is in point slope form. Y minus 1, because that's my y-coordinate, equals slope, which is -3, times the quantity x minus my x-coordinate, or it's going to be plus this time since it was a -3. All right, try 7 on your own and fast forward and see if you did this correctly. The slope is down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's negative, slope is -1/4. And I'm just going to use this point, 1, -1. You could have gotten this right by doing -3, -1. So your answer, depending on which one you used, I'm going to use this one, might be slightly different, but I hope you still did it the right way. So I'm going to do y plus 1 equals -1/4 times the quantity x minus 1. And again, that's not the only answer. If you use -1 and -3, that would change this number and this number. And it's still correct. All right, last page. More point slope form, and it's leaving us space, so first thing we're going to have to do is find the slope. So -2 minus -4 over 2 minus 7. So -2 minus -4 would be +2. 2 minus 7 is -5, so it looks like my slope is -2/5. And it doesn't matter which one you use for point slope form. I will give you credit for doing it right as long as you use it in the right way with either one of these. So I have a habit of just picking the first one. So my answer is going to be y plus 4 equals -2/5 times the quantity x minus 7. And again, that is not the only correct answer. It's based on the fact that I chose the first point to use for my coordinates and not the second. But they would both be right. All right, try 9 on your own. Pause the video and then check back and make sure you did it right. Okay, for the slope, 1 minus 5 over -6 minus 3. That would be -4 over -9. I hope you remembered that a negative divided by a negative is going to make it +4/9. And then I'm going to choose to use 3 and 5. So y minus 5 equals my slope, which is +4/9, times the quantity x minus 3. All right. Now we're going to actually convert it into slope-intercept form. So these are in point slope form, and we're just going to make y by itself. So slope-intercept form is the y equals mx plus b. So I want y by itself. So I would start by distributing this. So y minus 7 equals -2x plus 2. And then we need y by itself, so we're going to add 7 to both sides. So y equals -2x plus 9. Oops. All right, try the next two on your own. Pause the video and then come back here and double check it. Really quickly, this would be 1/3 x plus 5/3. Yuck, that's going to not be fun to put in my calculator. And then we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. Lucky for you guys, we use our calculator in geometry. 5/3 minus 2, ooh, 5/3 minus 2 is -1/3. So -1/3. All right, and then the last one, -3/2 x plus, what would that be, 9/2? Y plus 5 means I'm going to minus 5 from both sides. Y equals negative 3 halves x. I have no idea what that is. So 9 halves minus 5, 9 halves minus 5 is negative half. So minus half. All right, and then we're getting down to it. Graph each line. Quick reminder, this is your y-intercept, negative 4, so please put a dot there first. And then 1/2 means you're going to go up 1 over 2 because that's my rise over run. Please do as many dots as you can all the way across the graph. That's going to make for a straighter line. And please, please put arrows on the ends of both of your lines. All right, so I know that my slope is 1/3. And I know that I have a point of -3, +4 because I know that point slope form means this is my x and this is my y coordinate. So I'm going to put a dot at -3, 4. And I know that my slope is 1/3. So it's going to be up 1 over 3. Up 1 over 3. I would keep going if you can, if you have room. And that is not the only way to do this. The other way would be to go ahead and distribute and do all of that to get it back into slope-intercept form, and then you can graph the intercept and count the slope. To me, this is a little quicker because I know that this was one of my points and I know that that's my slope. All right, again, I know that this is one of my points, 3, 3. And I know that my slope is -6, so I would go down 6 over 1. The problem is I'm never going to cross through the y-axis. So actually, if well, on this particular graph, I'm not. So if I had gone ahead and distributed and got it in slope-intercept form, I would not have been, my intercept is going to be way up here in the 20s or something. So it's good to know how to turn this into a graph without having to get it in slope-intercept form. All right, I didn't give you graph paper for the bottom 3. I just wanted to do a quick reminder. I should have said sketch. So if you sketch the graph for each line, a y equals line, do you guys remember hopefully what a y equals line looks like? A y equals line is going to be horizontal on the 4. So actually, I should have done this part first. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you forgot, if you're like, I have no idea, I can't remember that, y equals 4 means that if you made a table of 0, 1, 2, all of the y values would be 4. So if you went to go graph this 0, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4, and so on. So it would be a horizontal line on the 4. So if a y equals is horizontal, then an x equals is going to be vertical. So here's my x and y axis. This is way down here. Just pretend like that's on 24. It's a vertical line on 24. Okay, and then another y equals line, that would be way up here on 22. So we're just going to say that's all the way up here. Pretend like I'm counting to 22. All right.